Ladies and gentlemen, the year is 2023. I think in the arm wrestling community, it is finally time we set our differences aside. We set our biases aside and our discrimination. And it is time that we make left arm great again. Hey everyone, welcome to Arm Wrestling Insider, where we talk about arm wrestling topics and all things arm wrestling. If you're new here, please consider joining the channel. If you're into that stuff, yada yada yada, thank you very much. So today we'll be talking about one of the biggest matches coming up in 2023. And I don't just mean biggest in the sense of importance or significance. I mean literally the biggest, like the two biggest guys. It's literally gonna be a battle of height and size at the table. Now, of course, the match that I'm talking about is the match at East versus West on the left hand between VITALY LALETIN and TOBIAS SPORRONG. Now, for those of you who may have been living under a rock, VITALY is a 6'8" giant from Russia, and TOBIAS SPORRONG is the 6'4", 6'5" giant from Sweden. Now, I didn't take the time to add up their heights, but I'm sure if you combine them, this is one of the taller matches that we've ever seen in arm wrestling. And what makes this match super interesting is that both of these guys are extremely fast off the go, and both of these guys are primarily top rollers. So it's going to be extremely interesting watching a match speed, size, technique. It's going to be a war. I have a feeling this is going to be an incredibly entertaining match, and I honestly cannot wait. Now, as I mentioned before, this match is on the left arm, and it's honestly one of the best matches that we could possibly have set up for us. According to exportnews.com, which is kind of like a global arm wrestling rankings, they have both of these guys within the top 5 in the whole wide world. Currently, as the rankings sit right now, they have VITALY's 3rd in the world, and they have TOBIAS's 4th in the world. So honestly, this match is super relevant, and it's going to give us a good update on where left-hand arm wrestling is right now. And for the people watching this who are super curious, because I'm always one of them, Artem Morozov is currently ranked number 1, and the guy he beat, David Dadakan, is number 2. Now, I think just on a side note, these rankings do not include Levon right now or Denis Saplankov. Both these guys haven't competed for a long time, either because of injury or just inactivity in general. They're not on the list, so let's just get that straight. That could blur things up once they come back, but as of now, those guys are not on the list. So anyway, back to what I was saying. We have a match lined up between 2 of the top 5 pullers in the world on the left hand, and for some reason, this is another match that people aren't really talking about, and the left hand, just for whatever reason, seems to get completely ignored. But I'm totally here for this one, and to be 100% honest, I'm not completely sure if these rankings are totally accurate, because we haven't had enough super matches on the left hand. So it's finally good that people are starting to compete. Left hand's starting to get a little bit more attention, and we're gonna sort through things over time. Now, according to polling and also public opinion, most people have VITALY as the favorite going into this match. Now, I think a lot of this has to do with name recognition. VITALY's kind of been famously known for a long time. He was known as being the guy who put the brakes on Levon in round 1 of the top 8 and gave him a good fight at the time. So because of VITALY's strength and his height, he's kind of had an aura around him, and most people know who he is. And I have a feeling that's kind of what's swaying the voting right now, but only time will tell to see if we're actually right. Now, as good and as dominant as VITALY's been on the right arm, he actually might be a little bit even better with his left, which is a scary thought. VITALY's actually one of those guys who competed on the left arm and the right arm for a long time, for over a decade now, and he's been extremely good and extremely efficient with both arms. Because of the long arm and the height of this guy, VITALY is known to be a top roll assassin. VITALY himself has even said that his left arm is very in tune with his body and is technically sound, and his hand and wrist are one of the strongest in the world. VITALY is also a grip strength athlete and is a multiple-time world champion in grip strength. He is also well known for his high posting top roll. VITALY is also one of the fastest hitting super heavyweights on the entire planet. When you watch his matches, VITALY almost always wins the go every single time. It's actually been really interesting watching the growth and the progression of VITALY. He started off competing at a much lighter weight, around the 95-kilogram weight class. And as everyone knows, in these classes where you're a little smaller, you focus a lot more on your speed and your technical ability. So by him starting at the bottom and learning and perfecting his top roll, it's really helped him out a lot as he climbed the weight classes, as he's put on strength, size, and weight. He's really become a force to be reckoned with. He's had the advantage of gaining all these things while keeping his technical ability and most of his speed. Today he competes at about the 300-pound weight, and it's a scary thought that many people don't actually believe he's even reached his full potential. A lot of people still think VITALY could grow into his body even more, which would honestly seem like it'll make him unstoppable. One of the things I'll be watching for in this match is VITALY's ability to never lose his wrist. Seriously. Go back to a time and tell me when the last time VITALY lost his wrist to someone not named Levon. It almost never happens. His wrist strength and his wrist rise is absolutely insane. VITALY is a former world champion and gold medalist on the left arm. He currently holds a spot for the #1 left arm wrestler in all of Russia. And mind you, like I said before, Denis Saplankov could come back at some time, but he's a little bit injured or he's not training it completely, so we can't necessarily count him out, but currently Vitaly's number 1. And like I said before, he's number 3 in the world, and I know he's planning on coming for the number 1 spot. You know, it's actually kind of crazy. I try to be really fair and unbiased for the most part, but as I'm describing Vitaly, I'm really thinking this guy probably deserves to be the favorite, and I think in my mind I've actually convinced myself that Vitaly's probably gonna win, but the guy he is going against is also a killer assassin and a giant from Sweden. And the man set to challenge Vitaly at East vs 7 in Istanbul, Turkey is Tobias Spårrong. And before anyone in the comments goes, his name is Tobias, well, I listened to an interview where Swedish people were talking to Tobias and they were calling him Tobias, and he didn't correct them, so I'm just going to assume that the Swedes knew what they were talking about. Now, Tobias is actually known primarily for his left arm, and he's currently one of the youngest pullers with the brightest future in arm wrestling. In his early 20s, he became a multi-time gold medalist in Sweden, as well as a gold medalist at the 2018 WAF European Championships, as well as second place in the Zloty Tour in 2019. And this is when the guy was only 21. Seriously, think about that. That's actually crazy. Even now, Tobias is only 25 years old and is number 4 in the world on the left hand. Like Vitaly, Tobias' strength is also his top roll and his speed off the go. Tobias, however, has a very high side pressure, which is often the nail in the coffin for his opponents. When Tobias is pulling and going side to side to side, it actually reminds me a lot of how Anger Bayev pulls. It's a relentless hitting with his full body going at it. In the last year, we have seen Tobias compete in multiple left-hand super matches, most notably against Artem Morzov, where he lost 3-1. But as I mentioned before, Artem is number 1 in the world, so you can't blame him for losing to Artem. Like I said, in that match, Artem was able to win with a score of 3-1. Tobias lost the match after being forced into a hook on 3 occasions. However, in round 3, outside of the straps, Tobias actually top-rolled Morzov and flash-pinned him. After this match, Tobias faced Prudnik, where he won rather easily. After this match, he took some time off, and according to his trainers, they were going to focus on strength training and fix some of the weaknesses in his game that were exposed during his match with Morzov. If my memory serves me right, I think what they were going for was his overall strength, as well as his wrist, strengthening it and focusing on his wrist rise. Now, as of May 2023, when Tobias is about to compete again, it's almost been a whole year since his last super match, and honestly, I'm super curious to see how much he's improved. I heard him talking in an interview with Swedish Arm Wrestling that Tobias's plan is actually to beat Vitaly and then come back and have a rematch against Morzov if he wins and go for the number 1 title in the world. And I have a feeling that if he is able to go through Vitaly, he will 100% get that match. Tobias is super young, he's super strong, he's super determined, and I'm really excited to see someone gunning for the number 1 spot. However, getting through Vitaly, like I said before, that's no small task. Win or lose, Tobias is going to have a bright future and hopefully a long career in arm wrestling. And he is definitely a name that you're going to want to keep an eye on in the near future, especially on the left hand. Well, that's all from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would, please leave a comment as to who you think will win, and maybe even a score prediction if you're feeling very dangerous. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.